How you guys doing? We have a special task speaker tonight. Um, he's going to tell us his little story, and he's been here for over 18 months, and he's done a lot for the house, done a lot for everybody here. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Luis.
Um, so I'll just start like a little backstory. I really don't want to focus on like anything negative. Just kind of tell you about my childhood and like just kind of like a couple of things that I struggled with, I guess you could say. Um, so I was born in Payson, Utah. I'm 32 years old, right? And I have one younger blood sibling, right? He's my little brother. Um, Growing up, I was in a poor home. Uh, my dad's from Mexico, and so my first language that I learned was Spanish. I was raised by my one grandpa till about, I would say, probably about 5 years old. You know, like my parents were always at work, and so everything that I learned was in Spanish, right? And so going into school, it was kind of a culture shock for me. Uh, School was, it was exciting, right? I'm a bookworm, you know, guilty of being a bookworm. I love school. I love everything about it. But it was hard because I got put in ESL, right? I didn't know English. And so my first I'd say until sixth grade, I struggled a lot with English. I didn't know how to make friends too well. That anybody outside of Spanish speaking. Uh, and I guess living in a poor home, like I struggled a lot with um always like, it was like a two-bedroom apartment. And there was about 12 of us living there, right? It was my dad, my aunt, my my three uncles that they all just came over the border, right? And they're trying to do something different. And so it was kind of a difficult thing growing up, trying to trying to be an example to my brother, you know, being around for him. My best friends growing up were my family. You know, that's all I knew. Was like my best friends were my cousins, and it's kind of like growing up too. Like I hung around my uncles, right? Like I looked up to them a lot, and a lot of them were into not so good of things when they first got here, and so I was really influential, right? Like I was always trying to be the cool little kid with his uncles, you know, and just just trying to follow what they did. Um, but what one thing that I'll let you guys know about me, like I was into sports a lot. You know, sports was kind of the thing that got me through with school, along with school. When I was little, I was always playing soccer. I was in soccer leagues growing up, and basketball. Uh, I would say when I was about 12 years old, I won one soccer tournament with the city league. Uh, that was awesome. You know what I mean? For me, like it's just one of those accomplishments that I really like to do. I was just so into sports. Um, but I also struggled like a lot with being outside of my family. Right? Like I was always closed off because felt like I was being judged, or like if I didn't have anybody that spoke Spanish because I didn't feel comfortable, it was weird for me. You know, like I was always shy growing up. Um, let's see. Yeah, growing up I was shy. It was hard for me to like just put myself out there. It was weird. Like if I had a ball in front of me, like I was good, right? But I almost felt like a dog. But so I got into high school. I want to talk about high school. Um, I was a straight A student. Um, uh, Straight A student. I was trying to make uh, the high school basketball team, and for the first time, I finally like I got cut down, like cut off the tryout, right? And it was like that was kind of like I hated it, like I judged the school, like because I don't know, I have my own justifications, but like I just hated it, right? Like I had my own reasons of thinking then, and like I hated life, right? Like I was just like, I'm never gonna come back from this, right? And so like I don't know, I felt like I didn't have a future there anymore after I got cut that first time, and I would say like the next the next year I got my or my permit, right? And my uncle gave me my first car. And that's where all the whirlwind of problems came, right? Like I was a cool kid with the car, and I was hanging around with guys that shouldn't have been hanging out with, right? Like I think that was my downfall, was the people around me. Because I let them be like that around me. Um a lot of them were affiliated with a gang or close to. And so like when I was in school, like we'd slept class, and I went from a straight A student my freshman year to flunking all my classes my sophomore year. And so I got kicked out of Provo High School. And from there, like I went to Independence High. Independence High is an alternative high school in Provo. And they had a basketball team. It was like a city league thing, right? And I remember I remember like going there and they're like, man, you play all the time at the rec center. And like almost all my friends were there, right? At that school. And so I joined the basketball team and we take state that year through the city league or whatever it is. And like I would say like I felt whole again, right? I felt like I had friends because I got what I wanted. You know, growing up I was super selfish through my high school years. Uh I did what I wanted, right? Like especially when I was hanging around with those guys that I would slip school with. Like my parents would try to ground me, my parents would try all these things to help me, like so that I could stay the straight and narrow, be a straight A student or whatever that looked like. And I just sneak out the window, do whatever I wanted, right? And all it did for me was just I don't know, it didn't do nothing, right? Like I got what I wanted in the moment, but like I put them through hell. Like I remember there was there was nights that like I'd come home and like they're crying because they didn't know where I've been for like a couple days or whatever that looks like, right? And like we've all been there on that side, right? Like and we never get to see that typically, and when I would walk in, like they were just so glad that I was home in those moments, right? And I would say the most like so I graduated high school from the alternative high school because I had to do all these packets. I did like 30 packets in the last 2 months of school or something like that. And I got to walk and I got my diploma, but I continued hanging out with the wrong people, the wrong crowd. And I would say probably 3 months after I graduated, like it would have been like the next school year. I was like, uh, it was the first time I got incarcerated. Um, I was I was doing the hard things like struggling with my addiction. I started a hard addiction, and I liked it. It felt good or whatever that looked like. And so I started stealing stuff when just for the thrill, and to be the cool kid or whatever that looked like, right? Like I just wanted to do whatever I wanted. And so I got incarcerated the first time and was locked up for a little while. And I was like, well, this sucks, and like I stopped for a little bit, but like as soon as I got out, like maybe 2, 3 days after I got out, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it again, and that was that revolving door of incarceration. Like I'm 32 years old today, right? And when I came to Red Barn, I had been incarcerated 32 times, and I had nothing to show for my life, right? Um, it was a really tough pill to swallow, man. Like when I look back at it, man, like because at my age, like my loved ones, like they were already buying a house, they were like all these other things, like they were getting their life started, they had their families and all this other stuff, and like when I got here, I was just so desperate, right? I wrote that letter, and when they accepted me, it was like, well, I don't want to go do that other stuff, right? Like I don't want to go to prison because I've never been there. And so me wanting to do something different, like at first it was just like get out of prison card. Like I'm gonna tell you guys honestly, like it's what it was for me, right? Spacing a lot of time, and so, but along the way, um, I've been putting forth all the effort, right? Like I just dove right in as soon as I got here because it was just the thing to do, right? Like I felt like for me, like my why when I first got here was super strong, and so I dove right into the program. Like I worked my butt off. I was doing all these things, right? And like I finally got to see a different side of myself, like that I could get along with people, that 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 people could hold me accountable, and I didn't have to be like, oh, he's gonna tell on me, and I'm gonna go to jail or whatever that looks like, because it's a bad mindset to be in. You know what I mean? Because like the whole world, like the way I look at it, the whole world holds people accountable, and so like, why can't I be held accountable? Like, am I really that entitled? Am I really that selfish? And like that, and like when I look back at life before Red Barn, like, yeah, I was selfish. I was entitled. Like nobody could ever tell me anything because I wanted to do whatever I wanted. And so after being here for a little while, like I got here after Chris W. like a week, right? And my first day on the farm, I was working with Don B. And like he showed me the ropes around here, right? Like he showed me how to do the grease trap. Um, W was the W was the intern manager at the time, and like I don't know, it was crazy, man, back then because like I really didn't know what was going on around here. Like we had Al yelling at everybody, but like the thing I want to focus on is like who I'm becoming, right? It's just like the hard that I chose for myself this time around, instead of choosing the heart of going back out, choosing the heart of incarceration. Like this is way easier than that hard, right? Because that hard I had to be someone fake. I had to hold up this facade of being a tough guy when in all reality I'm basically a teddy bear. Um and like I can do nice things for other people, like I can be a good man. And like this place really like in the last I would say couple months, I've noticed that like it's really gave me like a standard for myself, right? Like before, like there would be some decisions that I would have made, and like I would have just wanted to graduate, right? And these things happen, and like and I'm like I could tell myself this narrative, hey, like I'm just gonna choose to go out and roll the dice, and see what happens. And this time I didn't, like I paid attention to the red flags that were presented, right? And I was just like, I backpedaled, right? I was just like, well, I better stay. I better keep my word to myself. That for the first time, like that's when I made the hardest decision I think that I've been at Red Barn, was to stay a third year. Like there was a chain of events that happened, and like seeing all these red flags, and I was like, okay, yeah, I don't need to go through that revolving door again, right? So I chose to stay, but like I think a lot of the whole time that I've been here, like I really haven't had a hard time of like I would say like not feeling a part of, right? Because everybody here like so friendly, right? Like you get here and like you're welcomed, like everybody's here to help you, and like for the guys in gray, like you advance, and it's a game changer. It's one of those things that's like, oh, now I can call it that. Now I can make a phone call once a month. Uh, I can you get all these little privileges, right? I get to touch the TV. You know what I mean? That was pretty cool. Um, Listen to music for me is like I love music. So a lot of the stuff that I like to listen to, I can't listen here, but that's fine, right? But yeah, music is like one of my passion things. I love to listen to music, just close my eyes and sit there. You know, I think when you get to the part of your program, and you get that first in-home visit, um, that's super pivotal, right? Because your loved ones come, and they get to they get to see the difference in you, and for me, it's like felt like all they did was cry. You know what I mean? Like when they first came, and for the first time, like felt proud of being safe, for my loved ones. Um, and like it's gave me the opportunity to go to school. The whole change is what they always talk about, right? And like being able to transform and mold into that, like it's crazy because you look like the 2 years, they go by fast. Like I would say, I want to tell you guys a story. So the first time I was working with Thomas and Azelli, it was Thomas's like first couple of days on the farm, and we're all in gray shirts, and it's raining outside. It's like almost winter, and the bridge out there had collapsed, right? And so we're like, oh yeah, we'll go fix it. It's raining, whatever. And it was funny because like we go out there, and like for the first time, like I got to connect with Azelli and Thomas like on a real level, right? Like, and it was just cool, like to actually like do something and see it like still up, right? Like no one's messed with it since, and like you get to leave your imprint here and just be like, hey, I did that. There's a lot of things like that around here that I was a part of, right? And it's cool. It's just cool to be a part of like something bigger than myself. Being able to be a part of the moves, is super pivotal too. Like I get to tell my story of the type of leader I'm trying to become, the type of person I'm trying to become at first, and be a good example and learn how to own my part, through games and all that stuff. And it's a lot of places like I've done treatment before, and it wasn't nothing near this. And in all reality, like if I could turn the clock back and if they would gave me another option, knowing what I know now, I honestly would have came here. You know, it's it's one of those things that's like, it's never gonna steer you wrong. You know, I feel like, as well, like being able to go to school, like being involved with that, like that. I didn't ever think like it would amount to anything. Right? And so being involved with school and having the opportunity to talk to those teachers and be like, hey, I'm interested in this internship program that you guys got, right? And seeing where that would lead me, like something completely different where it's like, I don't want to go back to construction. I don't want to go back to anything like that. I don't want to go back to fast food or whatever that looks like, right? Like I want something completely different from everything that I've been involved with, so that I don't have to be around anything from my past. Being able to make those choices today of what I want and being able to like put my foot down for them is pretty big for me because I was a doormat. You know, and people would walk around all over on top of me, and like I was just yeah, I was just a pushover. Like I did whatever I wanted, and like nobody respected me for it, right? Because it wasn't something to respect, right? And so yeah, you guys got any questions? Zombie.
What's next for you? Life at the Red Bar, what are some of your hopes and things goals?
So honestly, like the plan that I had, like it's changed, right? Like, so I was gonna choose to graduate and do the internship and move forward right there. You know what I mean? Like move forward. But now that I asked to stay longer and that I got accepted for it and moving forward there, like I haven't explored all my options yet. Like I still have 6 months for all that. And so like I haven't been able to look into anything really. And so I know I want to go to school. I want to choose a school track and then go from there. Like I was really interested in like continuing what I have started at with the SEM class, and I know I know a lot of that the supply chain management has to do with like transportation, warehousing and all that stuff. And so I think maybe getting into Davis Tech for my CDL would help that, to kind of go hand in hand. And so really a possibility for me as of right now. Roberto?
So, what was your hardest phase how'd you get through it?
My hardest phase, I would say, as in like emotionally, mentally, physically, what? Or just all and all the way around. Hardest phase, I would say, was my intern phase, right? Work wise. As you grow the program, I would have to say my resident phase. I got I got my most hours in my resident phase. Um, I got put into leadership, so I got more responsibility. Right when I became a resident, I was a resident like at 6 months or something like that. They kind of asked me early, and I got a taste of that, right? Being the intern manager was really hard for me. Like, 'cause I went from moving so fast on the moves and doing all that to having to slow down to the pace of the farm. I, but that was the time I appreciated the most here, because it was during summer to spring, right? And I really got to see the beauty that everybody talks about when it's here on the farm. You know, like I got to spend time with the interns. You know, we got to spend time with Rich, learn how to plant flowers. We got to learn how to do all these things out there that I never thought I would have learned or enjoyed at all. You know, like honestly, like that was my favorite time. Like all that connection. You know, I took that job really personal. Like the first time someone left, like I broke down to Michael. You know what I mean? Like, is that I was like, what did I do wrong? You know, like why wouldn't he stop? You know, and it just like it was that one was hard for me because like I just wanted him to see and enjoy the things that I was getting to enjoy. You know, and the one thing that Michael told me that helped me the most was like you can't judge your success off of other people's choices or actions, because he had the choice to come back, talk, right, and make his life better. And so I don't know, like just being here, being able to be the interim manager for some of these guys, like there were some things that like it was funny, like working out on the fence with Jake and some other guys, and like, will you want to drive us to go grab a shovel? And I was like, man, like walk and go get a shovel. It builds character, you know what I mean? Like and like these guys are like, it just gave me the stink eye. They're all tired. Like we've all been out there like digging and all kinds of stuff. It's just straight mess out there, right? And like they just looked at me like, I hate you so much right now, you know. And I don't know, like I I I, I tried to do my intern manager the way I was influenced by a W, right? Like W would like he would task us out, kind of put his hand in there, and then just let us be, right? And so like I'd always let these guys like, here's this task, you know, and like that whole fence line that they did out there, like that, all I did was machine man the machine that they couldn't run. That's it. You know, that they set the line, they did it all. I mean, like it's cool for them because like that's all they wanted to ever do. Well, are we gonna go outside? I mean, it's just like, no, you're gonna hold laundry today. You know, but like I don't know, like it's just cool. What's up?
What was the pivotal time in your program you got yourself all in?
All in. As soon as I got, even though like I had that like I'm just trying to get out of prison. Like I think I was the hungriest then, right? Like because I was after something new. But if I really compare it, like I'm still hungry, right? Like I'm still I got an A in my class. You know what I mean? Like I've been given the opportunity to be a house manager just recently, right? And like I've been given all this responsibility, and like I've been trying to take it head on, right? And do the best I can do. And so I really look at it like I'm still hungry. It's just in a different way, you know, and I've learned to enhance my moving too fast. You know, like I don't have to move so fast. You know, I can take my time and it's gonna come out just as good, if not better. You know, and so I I would say work ethic wise when I first got here, but I'm still hungry, man. Just as hungry as I got here.
Sure. What do you think,
What was the most impactful to you, piece of advice or wisdom that you got from somebody in leadership during your time?
So probably the day that I got picked up. I got picked up by Kevin, and we had a long ride here, right? I came from Utah County Jail, and like I just sat there and like he just was trying to like kind of dissect me, like what's this guy gonna do, you know? And I just love his don't be in your head thing, right? Like your mind's a dangerous place. Don't go there alone. You know, like every time that I wanna be not present, you know, I always reach out and like connect with someone, you know, like immediately, you know, because someone that he's someone that I look up to a lot. You know, he's like one of my mentors, and he's been in recovery a long time, you know, and he's been through a program very similar. And just the talk that we had on the way up here, like he asked me what I was really doing it for, you know, and when he gave me that advice, see, he knew what I had at stake, right? And or what I was leaving behind, or for the time being that I was here, and like that one little bit of advice was probably the thing that helped me the most, because me being able to realize that I'm my worst enemy was very crucial. That it?
What an amazing story. Thank you very much, Luis. You're an amazing leader. You're an amazing man, and we all appreciate you very much. Let's give him one more round of applause. Let's welcome Colton.
Hey guys, I'm Colton. My story just kind of starts off with I knew of addiction at a young age. Not me personally, but someone that I was very close to growing up. And it taught me a lot of life lessons very early on in life. And a lot of times I felt like I had to grow up fast to compensate for that. And it had a huge influence on my early stages of life. And I think that I guess I just didn't have quite the normal childhood. I was moving around a lot, going from place to place. Went to quite a few different schools, and I think that's kind of where I got the root cause of me not being able to connect very well. And it was about the time that I was 14. I felt like I could actually connect with some people. They just weren't the right people. Up until that point, I did fairly well in school. I liked to read. I enjoyed math, things like that. Not very good at sports, but as the years went on, I became better at sports, I guess, more athletic. But I just didn't really play like all sports, I guess. I was more into like snowboarding and BMX, skateboarding, and those things. Just kind of fell into the stereotype of skateboarders and up to no good, I guess. And it was like that for a while for me. And by the time I was 14, that's when I started experiencing my addiction firsthand. And it started out small. As the years progressed, it just grew worse. I went from being really good in school to just stop going to school altogether. I started skipping school, and then that led to me not really caring anymore. That went on for a couple years. Started when I was freshman. And by the time I was a sophomore, I had to go to a different school because I just missed school. And because of that, I just couldn't connect right. And because of that, I stopped going to school again. I had to join an alternative school so that I could try and get caught up. And at that point, I just fell further along into my addiction, which led me to get some charges. When it was about a month after I turned 18, I was incarcerated for the first time. And that was really rough for me during my senior year of high school. And after I got out, I just felt like I was judged. I just felt like at that point, like I just didn't want to be a part of any school anymore. And so I just quit going altogether, and I started working. And that changed the whole course of where I was going in my life from that point on. After that, I just fell further and further down the hole for quite a few more years. And because of that, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I decided I just didn't want to live like that anymore. And I just got to a point in my life where I knew I needed to change and I needed help, but I just didn't know what that looked like. So I reached out to my grandparents, and it had these people move them that they said were just wonderful and terrific, and happened to be Red Barn. That I should just give these guys a call. So that's what I did. I called and talked to Alan for a little while, and told me that I needed to get some things straight before I could come to Red Barn. And so immediately started on that. I guess I just want to focus more on my journey here at Red Barn than my actual everything else leading up to that, because up to the point of me being here, it has a big part of my life, but I just feel like it's not as important anymore to me. And when I first got here, I struggled. Like I thought I could do everything here on my own. That there was nothing anyone could do here to help me. And I just didn't know how to connect. I didn't know how to ask for help. Wanted it to be my way, just like it had been my whole life. And I learned very quickly that that's not the way to do things. I struggled through my internship quite a bit. I just didn't want to be here a lot of times. A lot of days that I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to wake up. Didn't want to do any of it. And John, I'd spent a lot of time with John. John gave me a lot of great advice. And a lot of times I thought he was crazy. I thought that this guy was just full of it, and that I wasn't going to learn anything from him, and he just kept telling me, like, it's up to me to decide what type of day I'm going to have. And not on me. It's on everyone else. It's everyone else's fault of how my day's going. It just wasn't true, like anyone can decide how they're going to feel for that day. And things like that continued on for my stay, and I didn't quite buy into anything that was going on here until I cleaned up on myself for the first time. There was a situation that happened on a move, and we were just doing things that we shouldn't have been doing, and I just held on to that dirt for a while, and it just ate me alive, and got to the point where I just wanted to leave. I was like, yeah, I'm done. I want to throw in the towel and talk to someone about what was going on. And I just felt better. I didn't have to hold on to all that crap. And from that point on, like I decided that, I gotta start doing what everyone's asking me to do. I thought I could still kind of go about doing it my way. Just kind of getting around certain things, and Logan made sure that I wasn't gonna be able to fly under the radar that easily. I got to a point where I still wasn't connecting right. So like, you know what? You don't get to play small anymore. And from that point on, like anytime I didn't use the process when I should have, I'd get some hours. And honestly, those hours that I got for not connecting, for not pulling someone up when I should have, for not using the process correctly, like gave me some time to think about what it is that I'm actually doing. And like at first I really hated hours. I thought they were the worst thing. But then there was one day in my resident phase, I'm out there deadheading in the garden, like sitting there thinking about why I'm on service. All of a sudden, just get swarmed by all these hummingbirds. I thought they were giant moths attacking me. What is going on out here? Like that ended up being a huge SEF for me, just because of what happened in the following week. And like I've just had all these cool experiences that have happened in the 17 months that I've been here. I've been able to get my high school diploma, which is something that I never thought I'd be able to do. I've completely given up on it until I got here. One of like spending my birthday here was the best birthday that I've had. I don't even remember how many years. Because I got to spend it with my brothers and actually connect. Got to be sober and do all these awesome things like recovery days. That was one of my favorite times here. Going on the lake trip with brothers, that was an awesome time. Yeah, a boat trip messed me up, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for all the memories that I got to have like when I was on the moving crew. Like the moving company helped me learn how to connect, how to work as a team, and not do everything right. I remember it was like I hadn't been here quite a year yet, but that was about the time that I decided that I really started looking in deep to decide if I wanted to do a third year or not. And so I just made it a goal for myself to do a third year. I just see all these things that I could gain from it, and all the things that I can get back to all the younger guys in doing so. Like, it's crazy for me to think about all the responsibility that I have now, because when I got here, I had no sense of responsibility. I can't remember how many times I got pulled up for not doing my intern responsibility, for not doing the automotive responsibility, all these different things. But all of those pull-ups and everything, those helped me grow and to become the person I want to be. And I would not be able to even be close to being who I want to be without being here, without being surrounded by you guys. By everyone holding me accountable, just pushed me to do better. I'm beyond grateful right now to be kitchen manager. Like, it's something that I've always thought would be a cool job to have around here. And I'm so glad I get to do it. I get to spend more time in the house. I loved my time at Sticky Bird, but felt like I was missing a big connection piece in my life. And I feel like I get that connection back. I'm grateful that I get to be in automotive now, but get I get to do it in a different way. I was asked to be a part of Sunday Connections now, and like super excited for that. Like I've got all these things coming my way, and like really all it takes just stay and do what they ask you to do, you know. And I just came and explained how grateful I am to be here, person that I am now compared to who I was 17 months. Kind of where I am, my story. Is there any questions?
What advice do you give myself and others in the house? Outright, what kind of advice?
I would just, one of the most simplest pieces of advice that I've heard my whole time here, but best I feel like is that you have to go through it to get to it. You know, you have to go through all the struggle to get to where you want to be in life. Roger?
So I know when you first got here, there was a long time that you never said but 2 words. What made you get out that shell, and who helped you with that to be able to communicate and connect with individuals?
Mainly just all my older brothers and Logan. Just, hey, you can't play small anymore. Like you have to connect. Like I was so bad at connecting. One of my consequences after game was, hey, you like connect with your brothers. You know, and so that's what helped me to get out of it, is everyone pushing me to do better. Want the best for me. So like before Red Barn, I just never really wanted the best for myself. I didn't know what that looked like, what it felt like. And little by little, just by staying, I started seeing things do get better, you know, and just kept pushing me to want to do better. All right.
So when you say you signed up for your 30 year, right?
Not quite. I've decided that I'm
What are you looking forward to doing that?
really just being able to give back more. I'd like to go to school. I'm not quite sure what for yet, but I'd really like to further my education, just be around here longer. Or that thing connected to you.
Thank you very much, Colton. And that was awesome. What an amazing story you have. Very inspirational for all of us. And you're a great leader also. So thank you again. And let's give him one more round of applause.